Welcome to No Question About That. This is the Tactics Pod. I'm Ed with Dharnish today. How's it going?
Good. Just,
Very good.
getting through all this, sifting through all this meltdown through Newcastle has been a lot of meltdown, even though it's the first defeat in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's always predictable. Oh, well, two things. Very predictable United loss. It didn't matter. It squeezed between the two most important games of the season so far.
Yeah.
Newcastle are pushing for a Champions League place. They had their ill manager bounce, and all that's, an official
The ill
thing.
manager bounce.
Sorry. I shouldn't.
You're very happy with that one. I can see I've never seen you smile so much.
I shouldn't. No, I'm being silly. I should not make. I'm a bit torn on this one because he's such a little shit, Eddie Howe. But I do not wish illness on anyone. But if it had to be, gun to my head, which manager in the Premier League's going to be hospitalised? It'd be that little fucker.
You hate Eddie Howe that much?
It's just that he's a total hypocrite, and he won't even admit it. That's the worst thing.
I hate his press conferences. Are very like you might as well be a PR guy who is a company man. And
exactly, he is.
No, I get why, but come on,
It's you can have a bit of spine. Yeah, all right. United lost to Newcastle. I don't think we'll spend too much time on that one because there's a big internet freak out, as usual, when United lose. Everything's a crisis. This one was interesting because the defeat was extremely predictable.
But it's not just that. It's okay. The whole context of it is, like you said, it's sandwiched between two of the biggest games of the season. Maybe they're already still freaking out about Lyon away because it was always going to be a difficult game. I don't care who you are. Away in Europe is a difficult game. They've got tricky wingers, and United left on the 94th minute, 2-1 up. Not even a draw, but 2-1 up going into the final minute. Hey, presto, your keeper chucks it into the net again. So I think people were still really angry about that.
Yeah.
But this breakdown against Newcastle, I don't really understand it. The league form on paper has improved. And when the league form on paper has improved, it's an absolute fact that it's improved. I don't really understand why people are getting angry at the cake being cooked without looking at the ingredients. It really doesn't make any sense to me. And he's not devoid of criticism at all. No manager is. But stop ignoring the improvements before yesterday's game. Newcastle are still Newcastle, right? It's one of the most difficult places to go to in the league. I don't care who you are. Liverpool barely got out of there with a draw. Arsenal lost there again this season. They're fighting for the Champions League. They've just won the Carabao Cup. They have one of the best strikers in the world. They have probably, to me, physically, it's the best midfield in the league by far. Anybody gets bullied by them. The first half was fine. First half was all right. I didn't mind it too much. Yeah. And then Newcastle start doing this thing of, Joe Linton makes a couple of tackles and a couple of blocks, and then they start running into you. But it doesn't help when you have Lindelof at centre-back and you have Eriksen.
Exactly. I think that's the main analysis we need to take away from it.
These players shouldn't be at United, and they haven't. They're still kind of there. It's like they're part of the furniture. It's like having a painting on the wall that is dusty and old, and you go, "Oh yeah, what's that? Oh, it's just there." But it's like, no, just get rid of it. But
that's a bit of a stretch because, no, Eriksen used to be a Rembrandt. That's fair enough. And we just, he's getting old and not being repaired. Lindelof was, drawn by a 3-year-old. He was stretching that analogy as far as possible.
They're dependable players, but the point is...
8 seasons, dependably shit. I mean, can you remember a good game that Lindelof's had? And I looked at him versus Isaac, and that was just like, no, mate,
that was never going to work. Lindelof has had good games for Man United. He has. In Ten Hag's first season when he was called upon, again, the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer 1920 year people, he was quite underrated. But I don't care because this was years ago. They should not be getting the mints that they're getting. And it feels as though people have just kindly ignored the fact that they're in the team as well.
Absolutely.
And just overarchingly looking at Amorim as a whole. The build-up has gotten better.
Yeah.
Not they're accessing...
But
no, not in this game. Not the attack is getting better. It's just... They will... If he keeps having results like this, because they've lost so much this season, people are going to lose context because football is a results-based business. So the pressure has increased on him tenfold even more just because of the amount of losses that he's had. But people need to look at the context of the losses, but they're not going to do that anyway. Just because it's Man United, and when you've lost a lot of games, rightfully so, things should be questioned. But he will be under a lot of pressure going into the next season if that keeps happening, and if the losses keep coming in, if the performances keep coming. But it did feel like a game where we're just waiting for Thursday, and he wanted to make sure everyone was well rested. And it's a shame because Xerxes is now injured.
Yeah. Yeah, no, look, that's all completely fair enough. United couldn't build up in this game because it was, Lindelof in the centre there and Yoram Mazraoui, so they struggled to break the lines. None of them are good at those sort of in the way Harry Maguire can do for all his faults. And then we had Eriksen in midfield. He's never going to be able to compete with that Newcastle midfield. We know this already because they crapped all over Eriksen and Casemiro at Old Trafford.
I just don't get why I've had to watch Eriksen twice this season against the most physical midfield. It doesn't. It's beyond me.
Because there were no other options.
Yes,
no other options.
There's no other options.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Lyon because I think we just want to throw that Newcastle result away. And I think we can. I mean, normally I'm worried about really calamitous results can have a demoralising effect, but I think they'll be able to contextualise this. This is just in the middle of two of the most important games you could possibly have in this context. So let's talk briefly about Lyon away. What did we see from them that was interesting? I mean, I thought, Ryan Cherky scored the equaliser at the end. I thought he had generally a pretty disappointing game. He got more space out wide than he did in the centre because he played in sort of two positions there. But I don't know what you thought of him. And that's not to shit on him as a player. It's just saying...
No, shit on him. Because everybody gassed him up for 3 weeks and he was absent. he was absent. People do this a lot where they're big players up and then when a big performance or a big game comes, they're not actually that good. And
it's social media, isn't it? You got to, if it's not hype, it doesn't go anywhere.
You got to take it with a punch of salt. But he was not Lyon's. He was not Lyon's most lethal attacker. He wasn't Lyon's most dangerous player. I think a lot of the attacking situations that we had to deal with was wide. And luckily, Mazraoui was there, and he dealt with quite a lot of them. Actually, they've got a lot of wingers who aren't afraid to carry the ball. And United tend to commit a lot in the box. So their wingers might have space outside the penalty area or on the wings, and they're never afraid to run past players. And United, they only start to make defensive actions when it comes into the box. They're quite good at making defensive actions in the box, blocks, tackles, headers. Mm-hmm. But aside from that, I don't like the fact that they get up that far, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's sort of aftershocks from the whole Ten Hag season where they had to heroically defend the box a lot, and they did it quite well. So I think that's one thing to look out for. Having said that, I like the amount of chances that they did create in against Lyon. Garnacho's got a goal under his belt now. If he plays again against Lyon, hopefully his decision-making gets better and he can score. The other thing as well was, against Lyon, it felt like we had more count. Am I right in saying this? We had more counter-attacks than probably settled in play possession attacks. I think that'll change in the next game. I think we'll control the game just because we're at home. That's probably better. I would like the game to get into the tempo that it was, I think, second half against Lyon, when they weathered sort of the first half an hour of the hostile environment. And then in the second half, people were turning around to me and saying, "Oh, the game's kind of drab now." I was like, good. That's the tempo that you need it at, right? With Amram and his settled possession, you need three at the back, wing backs, side to side, keep the ball more so, then look for the gaps to appear wide and in the half spaces. If the game is like that, they should be okay. But this whole beginning the game on the back of losing it, and it wasn't even a loss, in drawing it in the 95th minute, left a real bitter taste in the mouth, and in the manner it was done as well, the two very soft keeper mistakes. After a week of a war of words between a former player and Onana, I thought, okay, well, regardless of even if he's made a mistake, they've somehow got out with a win. And just that nasty mistake at the end has probably given Lyon a lot more hope than what they should have. and it's probably left a bit of taste in United's mouths. But take it on the chin. It's not a loss. So draw at home, beat them at Old Trafford, and hopefully get through to the next round. It's just, I can't lie, there's a little tetchiness around goalkeepers right now. You get one goalkeeper in, makes 2 mistakes, bring another one in, he makes a mistake. It's just, it's not working.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's understandable. And understandable if Onana's made way too many mistakes. It's 8 leading to a goal, but it's way more than that over his nearly 2 years with United. I mean, if you actually take it as a whole, that's too many for a top keeper. So of course people are going to freak out. Buendia is, I think, can be established as a mediocre keeper. He'll leave in the summer because he wants minutes.
Yeah.
I think the word around Carrington is he's not particularly good with his feet. That's borne out if you look at his highlights package from his time in Turkey as well. He's a decent backup keeper, but if he wants to be more than that because he's an international, he'll end up leaving. I think that's fair. United will be net even on the finances there. So there's understandable United will freak out there. I guess what we're looking for against Lyon is Maguire will be back in, so the build-up should be crisper.
Better.
Right?
Yeah.
We'll have Duarte and Casemiro in central midfield, almost certainly. Casemiro will take a few more risks with the ball. He has the protection there of the man who runs more than anyone else in the top 5 Euro leagues and makes more defensive actions than almost anyone else. He made 12 defensive actions against Newcastle, which was pretty high. Won a lot of them as well. So, that's why Casemiro has improved. We can talk about Casemiro, but without the context, I think there's missing something. We'll see Bruno further forward as a result, I'm sure. I mean, Casemiro will be there to protect against the transitions as well, which was getting better, right?
Yeah, he's
settled 5-2, and United were pretty good, except for stupid goals. And you can even say that against Newcastle because all 4 of them were preventable. So, and the same with the 2 against Lyon.
There was a moment where United pressed high against Lyon. By the way, they did get out of the high press a few times. But this is how you can tell that Casemiro's had more minutes. I was looking around thinking, he's just in the right place. He was sort of marshalling 40 yards, but he wasn't scampering back this way or that way because he was so behind play. Maybe it's to do with the fact that Lyon are just they're not the best. And it's not a Premier League team, so they're not running away from you. But his positioning has improved with the amount of minutes that he's got. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with Casemiro's positioning at the minute.
Yeah. And he doesn't need to commit too much in this game. I mean, assuming that we have Rasmus Højlund back in because he's injured, it'll be Garnacho, Bruno, and Højlund up front. I mean, the team's basically, I'd be really surprised if it's not this team, basically. The one question for me is Mazraoui in the team? I mean, he had a pretty poor game against Newcastle, wearing the wrong studs, I would suggest. But I assume he'll be in the team.
He fell over a lot.
Yeah. But there are options there, right? So if we assume Yoro, who's had a good few weeks, and Maguire in, and then you've got Shaw, Mazraoui, or Aiden Heaven could all play that left-sided defensive role.
Is he fit?
That's it, really. Aiden Heaven was on the bench against Newcastle. Yeah, he's fit.
If he can get 90 minutes, that sounds.
It seems unlikely
to me.
Start, but there's options, right?
There's more options than what there was against Newcastle, basically.
Yeah. So this game looks like United trying to retain possession, 55-60% possession, a lot more control, a lot more settled build-up than transitional play. I mean, not that we transitioned much against Newcastle. No. In fact, one of our principal transitions, Josh Zirkzee tried to run. He should never try that again because his hamstring went twang. Yeah. And then we'll be looking for Lyon transitions, principally through Ryan Cherky. Does Lacazette start? Probably not, right? He seems to be
Mikotadze, I think, was quite good.
He was decent, wasn't he? Yeah.
I thought Mikotadze is quite good. He's a bit like, he won't ever stop trying things. So it's problematic against players like that don't ever stop trying things, and they don't care when they get one thing wrong. Because he'll just keep coming back at you. I will say it's important that it's a Casemiro and Ugarte pivot because it feels like at the minute it can't be a one-off because it's just happened so much now. It feels like if Bruno Fernandes isn't up the pitch, the right action, the right pass, the final decision doesn't come. It's remarkable how it's literally, you see Garnacho, Dorgu, Xerxes, someone up front. It looks great. The final pass doesn't come. Okay, attack goes dead. The exact same situation happens with Bruno. It's probably even less likely to be a chance. He knows exactly what to do, and they're presented with a chance on a play. It's kind of what happened with Xerxes for the second goal against Lyon.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, that narrative arc that Xerxes been through, from being booed against Newcastle and being subbed
to now
a few weeks
becoming
back.
a better player.
Yeah, and everyone's freaking out a little bit that he's injured. I mean, I think he's become useful in helping United build up because he's good with the ball at his feet. He does pick the right passes. He's not very useful in the attacking sense for United because he's not generally a finisher. He's got those 2 in the Europa League, hasn't scored in the Premier League for 18 games or something mad like that. Or he's got 1 in 18. I can't remember what the stat is, something like that.
I can't remember, apart from the Everton goal, I can't remember him scoring.
Yeah. Just my problem with Xerxes is not really him. It's more like what does the balance of the side look like when he's in there? Because him and Bruno and Mount all do the same thing, basically. It's just Bruno does it better than anyone else.
Yes.
And you want to, imagine the transformation, both tactical and just quality-wise, if United had an Isaac-level quality forward alongside a runner in one of those 10s and Bruno in one of those 10s, plus, let's say, a 6.5, 8 alongside Ugarte, you can carry the ball and pass it. You've got a dramatic transformation in United's ability to create chances, then I would suggest, and finish them. So that's less of a tactical one and more of a personnel one. But I think have we not got to that point where we're feeling, I don't know, maybe it's just me, I'm being stupidly optimistic on a Monday, but I feel like what we're seeing from United's Amorim side now is closer to what we'd expect to have from him. It's just they can't execute on all the stuff because the personnel are wrong. That's not to absolve him of all fault. Yeah. It's taken a very long time to get here. It's 5.5 months for the style to sort of be imprinted, but it seems closer.
You can see glimmers of it. You can see green shoots of recovery at least. And it's those wins, all that sort of mini revival was important for them mentally as well. Because they're not, against Lyon, when they went 1-0 down, they weren't mentally shot. They just came back and then came back again and scored twice. So it's nowhere near the finished product. And I'm waiting for more of them to learn more about opening up gaps in the build-up. We keep talking about the build-up because it's very important when he is implementing a system that we know he's not going to change. So we're relying on the build-up to constantly work or to constantly get better. And it has. It's just, against Lyon, even if you don't play well, honestly, just get through it and get the result. It sounds like a very obvious thing to say, but it's absolutely crucial that they beat Lyon. It's becoming a little bit of an irritant to me that the only player that runs in behind with pace and gets into good positions, gets into good movements, mucks up the final third action so many times, so many times. He's a problem for defenders. He is deeply
frustrating. Yeah,
he's a problem for defenders because he'll always take you on. He'll always run past you. He can run in behind. He's very fast. It's just he shoots too much when he doesn't need to. Passes it, it gets overhit. I'm glad he got the goal against Newcastle. Hopefully, it gives him some confidence. But it's problematic because you go, well, okay, if you take him out and put somebody else in, yeah, okay, but then the pace loses a bunch. The attack loses a bunch of pace, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I still think a ball carrier is pretty important for United to commit players, right? I forget who the Klopp quote. No, it's not the Arne Slot quote about runners committing players with the ball. And I think that's, we had this weird sort of debate, I guess, stimulated by Gary Neville last week about whether the Premier League is boring these days and all systems teams and they all play the same way. And I don't believe that's true either. But players that commit so on break down those systems because you then have lost one or two players in your shape, right? And we saw that against Lyon because they had quite a lot of players, particularly Cherki and Mikitadze, who are willing to commit players, and United lost their shape as a result. So I think Garnacho is important for that. He doesn't tend to take on men that often, but he does carry the ball and does commit players. And then he does a really dumb thing because he's 20 and he plays like a 13-year-old, you know? And you're just waiting for the penny to drop and those final third actions to be intelligent and sensible. Yeah.
It's particularly the dog who overlaps. For this system to work, the fullbacks need to be released. You have to create gaps in the half spaces and wide. If your fullback is doing that and you're just deciding not to play it, the whole point of the system collapses, because then if you're going to just do what you want anywhere, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Talking of, while we're on mention Patrick Dorgu there, a little word for Harry Amas, his full debut against Newcastle. Amarim was praiseworthy about him afterwards and said a lot of nice things, said he did really well, he's going to get better. I think that's all fair. I think they were just waiting for him to develop a little physically, which is why we saw him in the summer. He was very good in that game in LA, and then he just disappeared, and everyone's like, where's Harry Amas?
Yeah.
There was Harry Amas. I think he's got an awful lot of quality. He apparently turned down a loan in January because he felt he had an opportunity to be part of the team, or was told that.
He wasn't wrong.
And he wasn't wrong. I think we've got a quality player there. It doesn't mean he's going to be world class straight away. He's 17 years old.
No,
but
calm down. Give him some time as well.
Exactly. Give him some time.
They tend to really overdo it with the whole youth thing, just because it looks very nice and they think everybody should be in the team straight away. Mano's just know a lot better than we do in that sense. I thought it was an interesting game to give him his debut.
I know. I mean, against a really informed player as well, and
one of the most informed in the league. Team.
Yeah, absolutely. But I thought he committed.
I thought he did well.
He did well. Held his position, does the defensive stuff pretty well. We know he's good on the ball. He's not super quick, but he's quick enough. And certainly from youth level, we didn't see it so much against Newcastle, but he does commit players when going forward, and he's willing to make those overlapping runs, and he's brave, like in high up the pitch and all of that kind of stuff. It's a big leap from Premier League 2 or Academy to the Premier League in terms of like the physicality, especially of the Premier League. Yeah.
Newcastle more than anything.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, they really have got the most physical team in the league, and United are one of the least physical, I would suggest.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But so, I mean,
that will change.
It could have definitely been worse for Harry Amos, but it's important that he did well in such a game. Definitely something positive to take away from the game and a better result.
So, important question about him though: is he Harry Amas or Harry Amas? Harry Amas.
I don't know. How were they pronouncing it on commentary?
Amas.
Amas.
I think it's Amas normally, but yeah.
Amos.
I would tend to, if I even know better, I might call him Amas, yeah.
Yeah, Amas is better. He's a massive player.
Yeah, I think he'll be very good. It's funny, United, next season, United have 3 very young, talented left-sided players in Diego Lyon, Patrick Dorgu, and Harry Amas. Luke Shaw, I would suggest he's a left-sided centre-back from now until the end of his contract, which has got another 16 months or so to run.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine, because he's a good left-sided centre-back.
I want to know how many of those months he will actually be fit, because you can see even that little cameo yesterday, I was like, it's so frustrating because he does make the team so much better. He's just been injured so much.
Yeah.
It's got to the point now with his injuries where people are actually upset and furious at the fact that he's always injured. And I guess they're gonna be, but he doesn't want to be injured all the time, but it is frustrating.
No. I don't know how much of it's related to that leg break, and he had an awful lot of muscle injuries because your body adapts to stuff like that. So I'd suggest that was probably true. that's had a big impact on his career. And I feel sorry for the guy. I don't think he's trying to be fit. If you unfit, I mean, and do you remember that interview Phil Jones gave after he retired? I mean, he gave a few, and now he's doing punditry, but like he became a meme, Phil Jones, because he was constantly injured. But the guy sounded like he was suicidal, like the depression he felt with how long he was out. And so let's just, have a human factor there.
Easy for sportsmen.
Yeah, exactly. And managers, like, remember famously Brian Clough used to like act as if injured players just didn't exist, right? He wouldn't talk to them, he wouldn't phone them.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to burden himself
like they had
with
the plague.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure Amorim is a bit kinder than that, but he, of course, he's focused on what he's got and the resources he's got, not the ones he doesn't. And so Luke Shaw won't be a thought until he's fit. But he is the other player who's constantly injured, at least while at United, is Mason Mount. Amorim has talked about him so often. He loves the guy. He's I did a piece of Dominic last week talking about Mount's future. I think there's no chance they sell him in the summer.
No.
Just because Amorim loves him. He fits the system. It's hard to get a big fee on a player with, 36 games for United. Yeah.
So, I just feel as though we have for 2 years now, we haven't had a settled like Sai. We've seen like glimmers of when players are good for 5 games and then something happens. Maybe they get injured, somebody else gets injured, you need to put them somewhere else. And it's been going on for two seasons now.
Yeah.
People say, well, yeah, but everyone's had injuries. I know, but there's been more of a settled nucleus or a settled middle to build around with other teams, I feel.
Yeah.
It just feels like it's constantly chopping and changing with United. And they've constantly chopped and changed the things that weren't good in the past as well.
Yeah.
So then even when they've changed and maybe stumble on something good, they've had to change that again.
I think, that's fair. All right, before we leave, I mean, I think it's solidified the last few games and improvements without necessarily too many great results. Solidified what we're looking for in the summer, right? It's a striker, it's a midfielder, ball carrier, 6.5, 7, 8 sort of player. And would you, if you were buying 3 players, would you get another central defender, given that both Lindelof and Evans are leaving, or a goalkeeper?
Let them.
Or a right wing back.
I'm tired of buying defenders. I'm tired of buying defenders. They bought a defender in every window. I'm tired of buying.
I know. I hope everyone's going to be good.
Yes, but it's. I think the budget is limited, and we don't obviously know the budget, but a striker is definitely needed.
Yeah, 100%.
And I want a Cavani-esque striker, which sounds like bad to say,
more experienced one,
because they don't grow on trees. But bring somebody in who is going to be comfortable to get minutes, 75 minutes on, 80 minutes on, not play every game, not start every game. Can be an example for the other guys. So I want 2 strikers. If you're going to go buy Liam Delap and you really like him and you think he's sexy, all right, fine. Go buy somebody else for 2 million in the Turkish league, or go find someone.
Are there any good strikers in the Turkish league? I mean, can you think of any?
I don't know. I'm wondering. No. Yeah, any that tickle my fancy?
Yeah, not a £2 million purchase. That one. Yeah,
no, not a £2 million purchase.
You still didn't answer the question. You've eliminated.
I dodged around it.
So, goalkeeper or a right wing back? Gun to the head.
Right wing back. But no, goalkeeper now. I'm tired of them making mistakes. Right, goalkeeper, fullback, 2 fullbacks, 2 strikers, 1 midfielder. Big summer.
All right.
Big summer coming.
Big summer. All right. I'm not sure we did a lot of tactics in the tactics show, but it's interesting. Like, remember when we started this? How long ago now? We've done 28, 29 of these. So
a season or 2 of it.
Yeah, nearly a season of it. Maybe we started it at the beginning of the season. Can't remember now. But we spent the first 12 episodes then moaning about Ten Hag and the lack of tactics. We've taken this evolution now where we know exactly how United are going to play, basically.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Perhaps a bit more pragmatic than expected in some games. That's the context of the season. But so it's less about trying to understand the tactics and more about how does MRM get it to work with this group of players? And I think we've
that's the
discovered
current
that it's
theme.
quite hard, right? Yeah. All right, Dharnish, you're in Spain. I will let you go and enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
In Madrid. Off to a Madrid game this week, maybe?
I will try, but I think I'm on the game tomorrow anyway. I'm on the beat, so like as after it finishes, I have to post a piece.
I have been to both Bernabeu, old Bernabeu, and the old Atletico Madrid stadium, which was great fun, by the way. And I've been to neither of the... Well, I know the Bernabeu is still the Bernabeu, but I have not been to the refurbished Bernabeu or the Metropolitano. I'd love to go to both of them at some point.
I love the Metropolitano. It's a great stadium. Great atmosphere as well. It was one of the best atmospheres I've been to as well. The Champions League game when we played them.
Well, through connections, I used to know one of the directors at Real Madrid, so I managed to sit in the president's box a few times.
Rich flex.
Yeah, political flex rather than rich, but that is no longer the case. And I'd have to go actually buy a ticket if I get to Spain, but I will do that at some point. Enjoy your week, Dharnish. We'll catch you.
See you on
sometime.
The biggest game of the season. After the biggest game of the season.
Come on, United.
Absolutely.